In the last 2 years, I opened over 50 Darwinex Zero accounts to test different expert advisors, chasing more allocation. After many failed accounts and many that I restarted, only 2 resulted in having allocations. That was infuriating, so I got on a flight to Spain to speak to Juan, the CEO of Darwinex, and his brother Javier, who is the product manager and the one in charge of capital allocations. What I learned shocked me, and in today's video I will share it with you so you don't repeat my mistakes. In one of the accounts where I have 90k euro allocation, I am trading the vigorous EA. It is a strategy from the powerhouse EA and it brings steady results every month. 2 to 3%, sometimes a little bit more. You can see that I started it in September, October was 4.25, 3.5 in November, 0.7 in December, and 0.3 in January. Then it increased to 1.4, 2.4 in March. And just now in April, there is a little bit of a loss around the huge news from Mr. President. And you can see that as a result, my rating dropped to 70 and it's always been above 75. But what actually matters in this account is that I always receive allocation. Like from the beginning, every month I receive 30,000 allocation and 30,000 the next month and 30,000. And you can see that right in here. Now I have this account right on my MetaTrader, and you will see that in the MetaTrader, the powerhouse with the vigorous expert advisor made actually $20,000 of profit, which is 20% in 100k starting capital. Now on my Darwin, because I have a risk of 0.58, I have a total return of 12.94% and my max drawdown is 3.7. Now I considered until the moment that account as a sample or like an example of what Darwinex engine likes. You can see that it starts with 0.24 now when the account is at 120,000 euro, but initially it was like 0.2, and then it has some kind of recovery system. You can see the losses at the beginning of April right in here. So it increased maximum to 1.22, 1.83, 2.75 in here, and you can see that trade with 6.2 lots. Actually that one recovered the loss, but this recovery trades that brought some losses in the account actually caused my account to dip, and the rating now is lower. But interestingly, if I show you the track record, you will see that on MetaTrader it is just going up and up, and if I show you the equity, you will see that it stays really close to the balance line. So there were no real losses in my MetaTrader account because the expert recovered the losses. However, there is a dip on Darwinex, and this is where I got really frustrated. I said, okay, there is something wrong here, or I'm missing something. So I booked the flight and I met Juan, who is the CEO for Darwinex, and we had a podcast. And stay tuned to hear the whole conversation. But what was actually very interesting for me was that it's not important with how many lots you will be trading. What matters is that you keep constant risk.
Now, this risk engine is going to do 2 things. Keep the lot sizes roughly stable, constant, reasonable, the way you would normally do, and then forget about the rest.
So what the Darwinex engine didn't like in this case is the fact that the EA keeps trading constant lots. Like you can see that the majority of trades are with 0.24, and then at one moment there was a drastic increase in the lots, and even though they recovered, like these trades recovered all of these losses, still my rating drops because it's inconsistent trading. However, the performance in this account is steadily going upwards with a few small drawdowns that are also visible in the Darwin. And here comes the second important thing that I learned. They are looking for the long-term performance.
And that ladder is climbed by posting a long-term, risk-adjusted track record.
Even this account that I started in August was the calibration, and then September, October, November, December. And that's half a year of trading. And what they said is that they are looking for the traders or for the strategies with at least 2 to 3 years of stable profits and steady growth in their track records. So to limit these drawdowns that affect negatively in my Darwin, I can decrease the risk that I am taking to mid or even low, and there is a max percentage loss which I have set to 9, but depending on the strategy you are using or the expert advisor you are using, you can decrease this number even lower. Another mistake that I've made is to restart many of the accounts once I see a drawdown 5 or 10% in my MetaTrader account, usually with the grid systems, right? And the reason usually I was doing this is because after a huge drawdown, it takes just longer to receive the allocation. But what really shocked me is that it's not important the drawdown on MetaTrader, but on the Darwin. So if I stick to this account with the vigorous and I just scroll a little bit lower, you will see this drawdown analysis where you can see the max drawdown. And right here in April, where I showed you the losses in MetaTrader, you will see that drawdown in this account is above -4%, which means that no matter what the drawdown was on MetaTrader, there is no reason for me to restart that account. And I asked them, okay, what's the threshold when we should restart the accounts? And it turned out to be somewhere between -15 and -18%.
This 15-18% drawdown, it's for me in the Darwin, okay, that's important in the Darwin. It's a clear evidence that you should change something.
On the Darwin, not on MetaTrader. And the reasoning is that if the strategy makes -15 or -18% on your Darwin, it means it's a crappy strategy, right? And if it happened once, it's very likely that it will happen again. Next important thing to receive more and more allocation is to avoid grid EAs. And what you just saw on my screen is my tribe with all of the traders that joined Darwinex through my link, and I'm very happy to see that there are hundreds of people with allocation. And actually I am on spot 26 right now with this account where I'm trading the vigorous, and it just makes me happy that in my tribe there are more successful traders than me with much more allocation. And if you haven't joined the tribe yet, make sure to do it now, because we discussed a lot about the tribe and there are some great features coming up. But let me tell you why grid EAs are not recommended. Simply Darwinex Zero Engine is looking for those type of strategies that will stay on the positive side longer. For example, trend following strategies. Once you enter the trend, you can stay with a floating profit much longer compared to if you are trading against the trends. And greedy A's usually will enter in a trade, and if the price goes against you, they will add to the position, and the price goes against you and they will add to the position. For example, I had Waka Waka and the Percept Trader, the second one with allocation, and I just lost these accounts because the floating loss went really bad around those news from the President Trump, and these actually are grid martingale systems. So make sure you use strategy, no matter manually or automatically, where you are entering into the trades, and if the price goes against you, you exit quickly. Maybe smaller stop loss or an exit condition that will detect the floating loss faster, and you will exit the trade. If you have a nice trend following strategy with a tiny stop loss, a bigger take profit, good risk reward ratio, Darwinex Zero Engine will love your strategy. And I believe many of you in my tribe have these type of strategies, and that's the reason you guys received so much allocation. And you can see that the total Darwinia allocation is above 13 million euro in my tribe, which is just amazing, and it makes me really happy. Now when it comes to the permanent allocation, they shared with me something more, and especially Javier, who is the person responsible for the allocations. Javier shared this table with me. It shows what percentage of the traders reach the permanent allocation targets in the course of 3 months all the way to 5 years. So for example, in 3 months, 30% of the traders will reach the 5% target for permanent allocation, and 7% the next target, 1.3% achieve the 15% target in 3 months, and just 0.2% succeed in achieving the 20% target in 3 months. What was interesting for me to see in this table is that on average, more than 50% of the traders achieve the 5% target in 1 year. And if I go back to my Darwin and if I show you my allocations, you can see the estimated performance fee that I'll be able to withdraw. And for this account, I have bought the 15% and I'm already at 18.50% progress to the target quote. And these targets, they are not the percentage in your MetaTrader, but in your Darwin. And for that account, I got the 15%, and I can see that on average, just 14% of the traders achieve the target in 1 year. Now, I believe the vigorous will achieve it faster, and I'll be within these 14%. But if I knew that earlier, for sure, I would grab the 5%. And by looking at these results, I'm sure I was able to do it in 3 to 6 months. And in my next video, I'll share more about my other Darwinex accounts, and I will show you what type of permanent allocation I will be purchasing, and I already purchased based on everything I learned. Also, the table that Javier shared with me, there is a second sheet that shows how they analyze the type of strategies. One more time, they prefer the trend following strategies and not the ones that trade against the trade. They're looking for correlation between the different markets the traders are using, but it doesn't mean these are the preferable markets. There are different conditions and different things that they are looking at to find and filter the best strategies. Also, what's the trade duration? Is the strategy scalping or it lasts between 4 and 24 hours? I learned that more and more traders are into algo trading, which makes me really happy. And of course, it is important what asset you are trading. But one more time, nothing in this table is a recommendation, just different factors they're looking at in order to diversify the strategies. And now, based on everything I learned, let me show you the 3 new accounts that I'm starting for my 100K project. And all of the results are already public on our website, so you can follow all of the accounts no matter if they're live, challenges or funded accounts. I'll be putting on a new Darwinex Zero account, the EVA strategy, which is part of the Powerhouse Expert Advisor. This one is the newest strategy in the pack, and you can see that with the vendor it performed really well. There is a stop loss of 2%, it is scalping, and it's not grid martingale system, so it should work fine with Darwinex. From the accounts that I already have, I saw that the indices from the top 10 robots app are performing really well. And in this account, I am trading the German 30 or the DAX, which is already German 40, by the way. I'm just so used to call it German 30, but the DAX as a symbol, if you select it in the top 10 robots app, you will see those really robust strategies and expert advisors. And I just picked the top 3 usually by looking at the last 5 years, the last 1 year and the last 1 month, and they're profitable in the live account, so I want to see how they will perform in my Darwinex account. And I'll be starting more challenges in the near future by trading the most profitable expert advisors. And the third account will be a challenge, a 200K challenge with the Forex Gold investor, because it made great results on my live account. You can see that in this 3K live account, it made above 80% in the last 30 days alone, and this is by risking only 1%. If I show you the track record, you will notice that the Forest Gold investor was really profitable during these hard times on the market. When investors were losing money from stocks and indices, I was actually profiting with the Forest Gold investor, and not just in this account, but in a few more, and I will talk about it more in my next video. So if you don't want to miss it, just make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will publish the video in a few days. Now, before you go, check out this video on my side and you will learn more about the Powerhouse EA, which is a combo of a few different strategies, and it includes the vigorous EA. As always, trade safe. I love you guys. Thanks so much for watching until the end, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.